Let me tell you something you probably don't want to hear. You don't need more advice. You need more courage. Every time you're about to make a decision, what do? You text someone. You call someone. You post about it. You ask, "What do you think?" And you tell yourself it's smart, responsible, mature. But let's be honest. Most of the time, you're not looking for wisdom. You're looking for reassurance. You don't want guidance. You want someone to absorb the risk for you. Because if they tell you to do it, and it fails, at least it wasn't completely your fault. That's what's really happening. You've slowly trained yourself to believe that someone out there knows better than you about your own life. So before you make a move, you collect opinions like insurance policies. You gather 5 perspectives. You compare them. You wait. You hesitate. And in that hesitation, something dangerous happens. Your own voice gets quieter. The more you ask, the less you trust yourself. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The habit of constantly seeking advice is not making you wiser. It's making you dependent. Because every time you outsource a decision, you reinforce a silent belief. I can't trust myself. And the worst part? No one tells you this is happening. Society praises it. Get advice. Seek mentorship. Ask for feedback. And yes, there's value in learning. But there's a line. And most people cross it without realizing. There's a difference between learning from others and needing others to approve your next move. Right now, you might be stuck on a decision, a job, a relationship, a risk, a direction. And instead of sitting alone with your own thoughts long enough to hear your instinct, you're searching for one more opinion, one more confirmation, one more voice louder than yours. But here's what no one says clearly enough. If you cannot decide without consensus, you will never build internal authority. And without internal authority, you will always hesitate. So the real question isn't, who should I ask? The real question is, why don't you trust yourself? Before we go any further, if this kind of honest conversation is something you need more of, not surface-level motivation, but real psychological clarity about discipline, decision-making, self-trust, and the life hacks that actually strengthen your mindset, then subscribe to Soul Fuel. This channel isn't about hype. It's about helping you think clearly, move decisively, and build internal strength in a world that constantly pulls you toward noise. If that's the kind of growth you're serious about, you're in the right place. Now let's continue. Point 1. You're not seeking advice. You're avoiding responsibility. Let's strip this down. When you ask 5 different people what you should do, what are you really doing? You're trying to reduce emotional risk. Because making your own decision is heavy. If you choose wrong, you carry it. If it fails, you own it. If it hurts, you can't point anywhere else. And that's uncomfortable. So you soften the weight. You ask, what would you do? Do you think this is a good idea? Be honest. Should I go for it? And when they answer, something subtle happens. You feel relief. Not because you gained wisdom, but because the decision is no longer entirely yours. Now listen carefully. Every time you hand off that responsibility, even slightly, you weaken something inside you. Conviction is built by deciding, not by polling. Think about your own life. How many opportunities did you delay because someone wasn't fully convinced? How many risks did you shrink because someone projected their fear onto you? How many times did you already know what you wanted to do, but waited for approval? And while you waited, the momentum died. Here's the hard truth. Advice feels safe because it spreads the blame. But growth requires ownership. If you never allow yourself to make decisions alone, you never develop the muscle of self-trust. And self-trust is built the same way confidence is built, through action, through mistakes, through learning firsthand, not through second opinions. Point 2. Too many voices kill clarity. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the more people you ask, the more confused you become? One person says, take the risk. Another says, play it safe. One says, follow your passion. Another says, be practical. One tells you to wait. Another tells you to move fast. And suddenly, you're stuck. Not because the decision is impossible, but because your mind is crowded. Clarity requires silence. But you keep filling the silence with other people's perspectives. And here's the part that's hard to accept. Most people giving you advice are not experts on your life. They are projecting their fears, their experiences, their limits. A risk that feels terrifying to them might be necessary for you. A path that feels irresponsible to them might be aligned for you. But when you absorb all those voices, your instinct gets buried. An intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. If you never sit alone long enough to hear your own reasoning without interference, you will never know what you truly think. You'll only know what the majority thinks. And consensus is not clarity. It's compromise. The strongest decisions you've ever made, the ones you felt proud of, I guarantee you something. You didn't crowdsource them. You knew. Maybe it scared you. Maybe it was uncertain. But deep down, you knew. And you moved. That's internal authority. That's power. Now, I want to challenge you directly. In the last major decision you made, did you truly trust yourself? Or did you wait until someone else made you feel safe enough? Be honest with yourself. And if this is hitting home, comment the word decisive below. Not for me, for you. Point 3, the myth of the expert. Let's challenge something dangerous. You've been conditioned to believe that someone out there knows better than you. The expert, the mentor, the guru, the person with more experience. And yes, expertise exists. But here's what nobody tells you. No expert has lived your exact life. They don't have your temperament, your fears, your ambitions, your internal wiring, your timing. So when you treat someone else's opinion as superior to your instinct, you are automatically assuming something. That they understand your path better than you do. And that's rarely true. Most experts speak from patterns. But your life is not a pattern. It's personal. Think about it. If you ask 5 successful people how they got where they are, you'll hear 5 completely different stories. Different risks, different sacrifices, different timing, different decisions. So why do you believe there is one correct formula for you? Here's the real danger of overvaluing experts. You start believing that authority lives outside you. And once you believe that, you stop developing your own judgment. You begin second-guessing your own ideas before they even form fully. You hesitate. You filter your thoughts through. What would they say? Would this make sense to them? Would they approve? And slowly, your originality fades. Real power is not in rejecting all advice. It's in filtering it, listening without surrendering, learning without shrinking. respecting knowledge without abandoning your inner compass. Because the truth is this: you don't need someone to tell you who you are becoming. You need the courage to listen to who you already are. Point 4. You're not afraid of being wrong. You're afraid of being judged. Let's go even deeper. Why do you really seek advice? It's not just about clarity. It's about protection. You don't want to look foolish. You don't want to fail publicly. You don't want someone saying, "I told you so." So you gather opinions as emotional armor. Because if everyone agrees with your decision, you feel shielded. But if you stand alone, now you're exposed. And that exposure feels dangerous. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you are always choosing safety over self-trust, you are building a life that looks acceptable, not authentic. You will take the job that makes sense, date the person that seems logical, follow the path that sounds responsible. And one day you'll wake up and realize you built a life that pleased others more than it fulfilled you. All because you were afraid of owning a decision that might fail. Listen carefully. Being wrong is not what destroys confidence. Avoiding responsibility does. When you make your own decisions, and even when they fail, you gain data. You gain resilience. You gain clarity about who you are. But when you hide behind consensus, you gain nothing except temporary comfort. And comfort is addictive. You say you want freedom. But freedom requires emotional risk. So let me ask you something directly. If no one could judge you, if no one would criticize you, if failure carried no embarrassment, what decision would you make right now? And here's your challenge. Comment the word trust below if you're ready to start listening to yourself more than the noise. Not because it's easy, but because you're done outsourcing your life. Point 5. Reclaiming internal authority. So how do you actually stop seeking constant advice? You don't become reckless. You become decisive. There's a difference. Reclaiming internal authority doesn't mean you ignore wisdom. It means you stop treating other people's opinions as commands. Here's what it looks like in real life. You pause before asking someone what they think. You sit with the discomfort. You write down what you want first. Not what sounds logical. Not what sounds impressive. Not what sounds safe. What you want. And you ask yourself, if this fails, can I live with the lesson? Because that's the real test. Mature self-trust isn't about being right all the time. It's about being willing to stand by your choices. You don't grow by making perfect decisions. You grow by making own decisions. There is a version of you that doesn't panic when it's time to choose. A version that doesn't rush to text 5 people. A version that listens, evaluates, decides, and moves. That version of you already exists. But you've been drowning it out with noise. The next time you feel the urge to ask, pause. Ask yourself first. Because the moment you start trusting your own reasoning, your posture changes. Your energy changes. Your confidence stops being borrowed and starts being built. Outro. Stop outsourcing your life. No one is coming to hand you certainty. No expert can live your life for you. And the longer you wait for unanimous approval, the longer your life stays on pause. You don't need more voices. You need more courage. The courage to decide. The courage to be wrong. Courage to learn. The courage to stand alone sometimes. Because internal authority is earned. One decision at a time. If this message challenged you, good. And if you want more conversations like this, real, honest, psychologically sharp breakdowns about discipline, confidence, emotional strength, and mastering your mindset, make sure you subscribe to Soul Fuel. Subscribe and let's keep sharpening your thinking. I'll see you in the next one.